Hi, my name is Sally Wood for Be Inspired, and today I'm going to show you how to make valance boards. A client of mine wants me to do two for her, so it should have quite a bit of information there. You will need a sewing machine and piping cord if you're going to make your own trim, otherwise you can buy your trim. You're going to need a staple gun and some staples. I've got two sizes here which I'll probably use, some back tacking and a tape measure and a measuring stick. You will need two boards. Well, in this case I'm going to use two boards, so I've got 4 sides and 2 tops, a pair of scissors, the fabric, and I'm going to use this project stuff. It's compressed, and I'm going to fold it over 3 times to soften the corners and make it look a little bit plump. And then the other thing I'm going to use is a nail gun. You can screw these items into place, and as we go through I will discuss everything that I'm doing and alternative ways of doing it. I'm going to show you how to put these together. I have 2 pieces of plywood. They're cut to 18 inches deep and 38 wide, and they don't really have a right or wrong side, but choose the worst side to go at the back. And looking at this, I think this would be ideal for the front of the first one. Is I'm going to pop the 2 side pieces in place like that, and then the top, I'm going to place this down on top, and then I'm going to just, using my nail gun, I'm going to secure all these pieces in place. So that can run here. It's smooth with the outer edge of the board, and I'm just going to make sure that's level there. You could glue and screw, it's entirely up to you, but for this application I'm just going to nail it. And usually, I didn't do it for the first couple of places, but usually I do it as a pincher. So one goes in at an angle and the other one goes, and there again, just what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold that upright like this, swap that in. Actually, I think I might have cut it too wide. Oh no, there we go. Right, now this one's in place. Make sure it's level with the top. So now that's into place, and just roll it down. And I'm going to go across the front first. Right, on this side it's slightly down, so I'm going to twist that up using my fingers until it's level and straight, like that. And I'm just going to nail in the side here. Trying to keep my fingers out of the way this time. And here I'm just going to staple this one in too. Now that is the first one done. Having got the second frame put together, what I like to do, and this is something I found on somebody's valance board that I had taken apart a long time ago, and I've adopted for my own personal use. I put 2 layers of back tacking. If you don't have back tacking, not everybody can get it, just cut a cereal box and use that. That works perfectly fine. So I'm going to just staple that in place just along this outer edge. So let's do that. Now this is going to do 2 things on this one. There's a slight gap of the plywood here and here, so I won't have to worry about that pulling in when I tighten all the fabrics and wadding or dacron into place. Run my finger to make sure it's level there, all the way to the end. I might need to just clip a little bit out on this side, which is okay. It's just slightly wider than wood, but not by enough to be a problem. I'll just cut that round a little bit. That should be fine. Remember to cut 2 small pieces for each of the ends if you need to. So I'm just going to pop those in as well. That's adequate. I'm going to repeat that on the second one. The base is only 1/2 inch and I needed to make it wider, so I've used a strip of wood. It's a trim, and I've put the flat edges against each other, and I'm just going to staple those in as well. It'll give it a little bit added support, but when the fabrics are wrapped around, they'll look more even. I'm just going to start with the second one. I'm going to show you how to cover the valance board. I've used Project Fleece for this one. You can use anything, it's just something that I had. You could use dacron like this, which is also compressed. That works just as well. Just a couple of layers of anything that gives you a bit of padding if you want to upcycle. I'm going to pull this side. I made it a little bit tight. I'm going to just pull it over the side here until it's level with the wood here, so you can't really see, but I'm going to just pull that there and put some staples in to hold end. I don't want it to go all the way around, I don't want it too bulky. By putting this around the side, if there's any imperfections against the wall as it's resting there, it should hide any should stop the light coming around the corners. And now I'm going to do this side. Along the bottom I will bring it up and into the inside of the board. I'll do this front section first. I'm going to remove some of the bulk in the corner, because with all the layers of fabric going onto there, it can look uneven. So I'm going to just pull that out and pop it down. Now we'll also pull that out like that, and you will see that what I've cut is a kind of right angle of fabric out, and I'm just going to wrap that around. I'm not going to pull it too hard, because when the top fabric goes on, it will hold everything into place, and that's what pulls it in, makes it smooth. I'm not going to put any staples on the top here, because when I'm putting the trim on, that's when that goes in. Same on the other side. Pull it over. Along the top, I'm going to do the sides first. Just bring those across the top, cut them to about an inch. You really don't want too much in there. Just to the back side of this back tacking that we put in, we just want to secure it down. I'm going to cut my angle out there, so just don't want too much mess in the corners, and pull that up. Smooth it. I would go from the center out to the sides, actually, as long as everything's smooth on the front. And again at the corner, don't put one there, that will come in later. And so just trim this back. I'll repeat on the other side. And we're going to just trim down inside here, probably a little bit on both sides. We have the padding on, and now I'm going to do the second one, so they're both exactly the same. Now I'm going to work on the cover, and the depth I have on the boards is 18 inches, so if I cut it to about 24 inches we'll have plenty of fabric for turnings, and so I'm going to cut 2 of those, which I am going to do this way. I am going to mark down on this side 24 inches. This is another way of cutting fabric. Right, I've marked 24 inches there. I'm going to fold along the selvage like this. I've showed you in previous videos a way of cutting fabric, so this is another way of cutting a straight line. I'm just going to fold it with that selvage nice and tight in, and then I'm going to straighten this selvage out. Provided you're careful, this shouldn't be a problem. I know that this width of fabric is going to go around my board without any problems at all, so I'm going to pull some of this lumpy stuff out of underneath because it's buckling it up a little bit. I only have a small work area. I've kind of given up a lot of my work over the years. So I'm going to smooth that out. The selvages are equal to each other. And then, holding the scissors flat, I'm just going to run down that fold line. This is going to give me my first straight side. There we are, there's our first one. And now I'm going to cut the second one. So I'm going to do the same thing. This is an ideal way to cut fabric, so long as it's more than about 4 inches. 3 inches it tends to wobble. 4 upwards is a pretty good width to use. It's more sturdy, nice and easy. Now I'm going to cut 2 lengths of piping. I only need 1 for each. I'm going to cut that at 2 inches, so I'm going to cut them together. So there's my first 2 inch, and there's my second, and I'm just going to go straight across the fabric like this. Now I'm cutting the bands to go on the inside at 4 inches, and I cut them the exact way that I did the piping a short while ago. So here we go. I'm going to show you how to do the piping. 2 things I'm going to point out. If you have fabric with a pile and you're not sure which way it goes, roll it over your finger and rub it. And if you go one way and it starts sticking up, that's the wrong way. If you go the other way and it smooths down, that is the way the pile goes. So I'm doing it that way. I'll pop that under there. The other thing I'm going to show you is a piping foot. I have shown you this in a previous one, but for those that haven't seen it, it's a foot like this with a rounded part which you run your piping through like this. You get double ones or single ones. This is a universal foot and it fits on this machine quite nicely. Put my piping in the fabric like that and fold it round like that. Pop it under. I'd go about 1/2 inch to 1 inch, 2 centimeters in from the outer edge. I'm going to adjust the stitch length to 5. That should be plenty. You don't need a tight stitch on this, and then just stitching. Now, fabric with a pile often needs to be helped through, so just cinch it up as close as you can to the piping or the cording. This is a 1/4 inch cording, which I use on most things. And just work your way across. There again, I'm going to double check my pile. So Yeah, that's the right way, that's the wrong way. So I'm going to pop this under. Now I'm going to fold this one under, and I am going to just continually stitch across. And the reason is, when I've used this piping up, I'll pull off the rest of the excess fabric and then move everything up, and then I don't have to come back to the sewing machine and start sewing. Okay, I'm coming to the end of that one. Just check the pile on this one. I'm folding it. Okay, I'm going to put the two pieces together like that and just sew all the way across like this. Oops, didn't want to go. So I'm going to just pop that down and pull that up to the stitch and back down. That kind of slid, it's a bit bulky. And now I'm going to just carry on sewing along this second piece. I'm not going to cut my cording because it's on a huge cob, so I'm just going to leave that attached. The other thing I'm going to be doing with the piping is with this piece, let's say if you're unsure, hold it and that. The other thing you really should do, which I didn't do in this and I've told you in a previous one, cut the bottom right hand corner off to show that that's the bottom. But anyway, I'm going to sew this band along with the piping. And now I usually sew the piping in first. I like everything nice and trim, so I always sew the piping in first and then I put my band on. And that's sometimes because the piping can wriggle underneath, and everybody has their own personal reasons for doing things. I just have found that if I put the piping in first and then that on top, it holds better, especially on a thin fabric. So here we go, I'm just going to pop that on. Just run all of the rough edges together so they're nice and even. Okay, I've got the undercover here. I'm putting the new cover over the top. I'm going to center it up and down, so there's a good couple of inches either side, and I need to just make sure that it goes around the back and into the corners, and that it does this side, so I'm sure there'll be plenty on the other side. Okay, the other thing you need to do is make sure that the fabric is actually going the right way. So if I do this, it looks smoother, and if I do this, it goes ripply. So that's my down. Flip it over and put some stabilizing staples in. I'm going to just roll the bottom up, and round about the middle I'm going to just put a staple in there like that, and then on the other side I'm just going to pull that up, and just this side of the ridge I'm going to just put a staple in there too. That's just to make sure nothing moves. I'm going to fold the fabric in here along this ridge, well this side, pull it up and roll it in, and I'm going to staple it along that inside corner like this. Just put a couple in towards this end, just making sure it's smooth on the outside. So just make sure there's no real ripples going on. Do the same this way, and it looks about even there. It's working from the center to this outside. I'm just going to pull the fabric just a little bit up, not too much because I'm going to pull it from the top. It's easier that way. I'm going to just smooth it towards me like this, and when I get towards this corner, I'm going to use my scissors. I'm literally going to just cut up and towards I say towards this corner here, like that. I'm going to pull this fabric down here, and I'm going to secure that too. and I'm going to just cut most of this out like this. I'm going to cut back some of this fabric like this. And pull that in. I'm going to pull this fabric up and over like that. And secure it. And then I'm going to just pull this over my secured fabric here. That's all going to be hidden, so I'm not going to worry too much about how it looks. And just trim that back. Now for this corner here, I'm going to just roll the top side under. I can't see this very well because it is black fabric. I'm going to pop this back under here, roll this one on top and tuck a little bit of fabric underneath and secure it at a 45-degree angle just here. That will hold everything in place while I am securing other items over the top, other fabrics over the top. And then pulling this fabric back just a little bit and secure here. Should have everything in place. In fact, I'm going to remove this one here and adjust it. The thing is with upholstering is there's always adjustments to be made, so be aware if the fabric ripples in any way, shape or form, adjust it before you go too far. I always think it along the lines of dressmaking. If you cut it out wrong, it never hangs right, or it's very difficult to get to hang right. So, got that. So we're going to cut a little bit more of this off, like this. All of this will be hidden, and actually I can come out and just cut up towards the back here. On this side, I'm going to just pull the fabric up towards the top. Just give it a little tug so it pulls into shape. There we go. And there's a little ridge here from the double back tacking. So I'm going to just staple along like that. And then I'm going to fold my fabric into that corner like that and over, and it should give a nice 45-degree angle across the top, which you shouldn't need to mess around with. Sometimes you might need to put a staple there, but I'm going to just pop this in, just as I said, just behind where the ridge is. Push your fabric up and pull it back so it looks nice and smooth across the front. And just take your time, work your way across. Now the middle staple might need to come out. Let's see what it looks like. Yeah, I'm going to take that middle one out. It you might not be able to see it, but it kind of creases. If I put my finger there, as I roll it up, you'll see that my fingernail disappears. So I need to take that out. So I'll remove that now. So I'm just going to pull that one in where I removed that staple, and finish on that side. Right. Now I'm going to work on this side where it's loose. Do exactly the same as I did before. Pull this fabric over and into this edge and secure it into the corner. Okay, now I'm going to show you how to attach the piping, and I've attached the the band to the piping so it all goes in one way. I'm going to initially fold over the end so it's flush, and I'm going to bring this around to the back. What I like to do is have my piping in line with the board, not over the edge. And the reason is, if it's in line, it tends to hide what's going on behind it. I'm going to be putting some back tacking here and putting this over onto the inside to hide everything. And if I have the piping on the outside edge like that, this liner here tends to bulk out, and I don't think it gives it a very nice finish. So personally, I like to pull it back, and you can run your thumb along there. That's okay, just make it feel smooth. And I'm going to just roll this back under there, and I'm going to put my first staple in like this. And I usually do it at a slight angle, just hold everything in place. Kind of spreads the load. I'm going to put another one. I'm going to just pull this back hard to the midway point. Do exactly the same. I'm going to put my thumb up there and put a staple in. And I'm going to do it yet again at the back. So basically there's just 3 staples holding this row in. It should go in smoother that way. So I'm going to just put my thumb level with there, put it back to this side of the valance, and put another staple in like that. As I've said in a previous video, if you can't get back tacking, use cereal box or something like that and just cut it into 1/2 inch strips. And I'm going to bring this back a little ways. I'm going to bring it back about 1/2 inch, only because I'm going to be messing with this corner, and I'm not going to staple down for the first couple of inches, so it should be almost above my initial staple. So I'll pop that in there. And here again, I'm going to pull this piece of stripping and roll it in with my fingers so I know it's going straight in to my midway point. And I'm going to wriggle the middle section in between these 2 points and secure it. Push the board hard into the stitch line and secure another one. The same again, midway, and again, midway to those 2. So we've only got a few staples in, just holding it steady for now. And then to the back end. So I'm going to pull this piece of cardboard. If you're using shorter lengths, obviously only pull it as far as you can. This is a big long length. And I'm going to take it to about 2 inches in from this end. Here's my midway point between here and here, so I'm going to do the same here. Midway point here, midway point here. Once that's all in, I should be able to pull it over and see how smooth this lies on here. So in this case, I'm going to use this length. I'm going to start it in the middle. And actually, with this one, I tend to roll it, the back of my staple gun, actually against the ridge of the piping cord. And the same this way too. Don't pull it too much, just so it's flat. Once that's in place, I get my scissors and I'm just going to cut along the base of the ridge that's here. I don't want it too deep, just like this. It doesn't even have to be very even, it just has to be along. It looks relatively even across the front. Just remember you're only human, and if anything's gone in wrong, this is the time you notice. And this one's a little bit pinched, so I'm going to take that one out. Maybe I rolled off my back tacking. You need to look at everything as you go along, and I've been in this business for 25 plus years and I still do things wrong, so it's what you do about it that counts. Hopefully that will just lift on up and out, and it has. So let's make sure nothing else is wrong on the front there. Let's say this is when you look at things. Yeah, that's gone in better. Work out whether you need to alter anything. I don't think so. That'll be fine. Okay, I'm just going to pin this back so it doesn't get in the way as I'm working on this. And I just put it through the wadding. Black is not actually a very good colour to work with, so I'm going to also pull this one back, but that will fold. Now I'm going to work on this corner first. So I'm going to peel back this band fabric, and then I have 2 layers of the piping fabric. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut in at a right angle towards the corner, and I'm also going to cut the other way, and I'm going to very carefully cut back. If I get a piece of paper here, I'm going to put that in front of the band so you can actually see what I've done. So I've cut in at a 45-degree angle here and around and back out of the piping border. That is so that it all folds together and takes a huge amount of that wastage out, and that's what I'm going to concentrate on. It's a little bit finicky, I suppose, but here we go. I'm going to fold that around and push it into place, and hopefully I'll be able to keep this border out of the way. I'm going to see how well all of that goes in. And the nice thing about the paper, I don't really like using paper piping, but the one good thing about it is it does fold. I'm thinking I'm going to have to remove this staple and pull the fabric round. That's normal. The fold seems to be more on the edge than where it should be. So let me remove that, pull it all back round. That's why I always start in the middle of these things, so that if there's any alterations I can work them in. I'm not going to worry about putting that corner back in. It will be held with this. Now that, to me, looks better. Unfortunately, because it's black, it's not a very good colour for you to see. So I'm going to do the same as I had before, which is to hold this along this outer edge. So I peeled back the fabrics and I'm going to pop that one in. The only one that I'm going to keep out of the way is the outer side into the corner, but I'm going to fold and push all of this piping fabric back down. I actually need to take some more of it out, so I'm going to do that now. The more out the better. Just be very careful. Now what I'm going to do with this piece of the fabric is I'm going to fold it into this corner here, and I'm going to put my 45 on, and I'm going to wriggle that so that it goes in quite tight. With my back tacking, I'm going to push it down flat along this edge, and I'm going to put that also at an angle. Pop my staple in to hold it, and I'm going to push it as far into that corner as I can on one edge. Before I put the back tacking on here, I'm going to mess with this corner here. I'm going to pull some of those stitches out here so it pulls back behind here by about 1/4 of an inch, nearly half a centimetre. And now I'm going to pull out these stitches along the piping until it's also back behind where I need it. And I actually did quite a good job. The piping is right where I need it. So I'm going to cut it as a V in and then back out. The reason is I'm going to fold all of this in, and it's a little way is a little ways back from the end there, which is perfectly okay because I don't want it to be too bulky. I'm going to fold that over and back. It needs to be pushed back slightly from this outer edge. And I'm going to staple that into place before I cut anything else back. Make sure the piping is where you want it. Just trim the top part off, not too much, like that. This banding I'm going to pull out to the edge and fold back so it's level. The selvage is a little bit rough, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut that fluffy bit off like that. Fold it in line with the outside edge of this board. Staple that into place too. With my back tacking, I'm going to put that on the edge a little bit back from the outer edge of the board, and so long as it's level with the front or as close to, that's all that matters. So I'm going to push that hard up against the piping cord, and I'm going to staple that into place too. Just 3 places, that'll be fine. The piece that I'm using to smooth everything out, I'm going to put into this corner, and I'm going to cut that at a 45-degree angle. That is so that it folds into the front here. So I'm going to staple that back into place like I did before, into that edge there, staple it, and I'm going to cut back so it's about the same length as the one in along the front. I'm also going to cut that slightly back from the edge. Now I'm going to cut this as a 45-degree angle. I'm going to start in the middle here, and all I'm going to do is pull this against the base and up to the center where the ridge comes here. So I'm going to secure it about ½ inch to an inch, 2 centimeters up from the top of that ridge. Right. Okay, so I'm just going to, as I say, pull the fabric up and secure it up here. Working my way to the edges. Just make it as smooth as possible. And I'll try to show you what I'm going to do on these corners. So, okay, I'm going to be pulling this down into the corner, and what I want to do is cut, very carefully cut across the top, and the reason is that I'm going to be folding that down and I want it to look neat. And when I get to the corner, I'm going to cut into, at a 45-degree angle, the folded corner, but not all the way in. I'm going to leave it about 1/4 of an inch out. I think you might be able to see that. And now I'm going to pull all of this one side into place before I finish up. Now, along the front of this border, I'm going to roll it under, and I'm going to put it quite hard up and secure it along the top edge. All the way into this interior corner here. Now, to get this in nice and neat, I'm going to roll that down and fold that back, and I've got a little bit of excess here, so I'm going to cut in at an angle and then across my fold right into that corner, and by pushing the excess fabric in and up and securing, I'm going to actually secure this part on here, not the part that I'm folding over. So I'm going to push that over as far as I can. On here, I'm going to fold this fabric as hard into that sewn edge as possible and pull it down. Now I need it to come in straight. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut up towards towards my fold, not all the way across, just towards it. I'm going to take a little bit more of that out. So I'm going to roll that back into a 45-degree angle across here, pull that down, and because I cut in at that angle, I should be able to pull this fabric flat into here. But I'll work my way across before I decide whether that's actually how I want it to go. So I'm going to use my hand to pull all of this fabric in and up, and as I get close to this inside edge, I'll be able to wriggle things around if necessary. I just want all of that in there. Fold the fabric around and pull it in tight, and it should hold all those folds in place. So now I'm going to pop that there. So yeah, push that all up and secure it. So now all I've got to do is do the other side exactly the same way. Pop that in here. I'm going to kind of line it up with the rough edge here of the black. I'm going to put a couple of staples in just to hold it. I should work in threes, nice and even there. Okay, with some back tacking, I'm going to just run it along the inside here and cut it so it fits into there. Here's my fabric. I'm just going to pop that all the way into the corner like that. Pop it in behind that ridge. So there's my ridge, there's my band. I'm going to work along here all the way across, so it's all the way across to the other side. Now I'm just going to infill like I did. Now because there's no weight on here, it's just going to be rolled up, and what I do is I go from the center. Right, I'm just going to pull this across like that, and then I'm going to make a 45-degree angle into the side, but I'm not going to worry too much. Cut that little piece out there like that and secure it just inside the top here. Side here, I'm going to fold under like that, and I'm going to make sure that this is all folded nice and smoothly as well. And I'm going to run that edge all the way to the top here. I'm going to staple that like this as well, all the way down. When I get to this corner, just take it in a little bit like that. Secure it into the corner and like that. So this gets secured on the top here, like that. So it folds round here. I'm just going to work that in and secure that above the board as well. Just do exactly the same on this side. Again, I'm going to be using the back tacking, so I'm going to just measure inside that ridge there to just inside the ridge here. So cut that off. If I run my finger over, I can feel the inside of the ridge. So I want this border to be going about ½ inch to an inch inside there. Stabilizing staple in. My ridge comes to here, so I'm going to just put that in here. Again at the back here, I'm going to work out where the ridge is, put a stabilizing staple in. Now with the back tacking, I'm going to pop that against the ridge. So the double band of back tacking I put in originally is here, and I'm just going to run that just on the inside of there. I'm just going to work that into position all the way along. Right, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to just cut from the outside edge of the valance board straight across. Put the front end there and the back end here. Pull the fabric from the front towards the back, and I'm going to roll just a little hem underneath like that, so it looks nice and neat. and I'm going to do that all the way along. Some people like to do it all the way to the edge, some people like to go all the way on the inside. That is entirely up to you and how much fabric you've got to spare. And this would be behind against the wall so that nothing would be showing. I'm going to fold that fabric underneath like that. There might be a little bit more than ½ an inch on this side, but not by very much. Just fold all of that underneath, secure that in place too. Now the reason why I put the ridge in here is that you shouldn't be able to see very much that goes on behind that ridge. It should be nice and flat. The fabric is all hidden behind here and it looks nice and smooth. Not that you should see it anyway, it's usually above your head, but if you've got staircases coming down and you just want everything looking nice and neat, that's one thing you should do. Over the years I've seen some lumpy valance boards, and I say I hadn't been taught about putting the ridge there. It was a project I had to redo a few years ago, and that's when I learned that trick. So I'd much rather pass it on to somebody else who would either like to start a business in this or just wants to have a better look for their own personal items. So thank you for joining me today. I hope you've learnt a few tricks of the trade on making these valances. I will be brushing them down as I hang them up so they look really pristine. Please do not forget to hit the bell button or the subscribe button if you want to receive more from me. See you next time. Ciao! Hi, my name is Sally Wood for Be Inspired, and today I'm going to show you how to make 2 valance boards. Okay. Ouch, that hurt. A bit too close. My eyesight is getting worse for some colours. That way's smooth, that way's up. Okay, so I did get it right. And I've just done that wrong. Why did I do it that way? Oh, you know what, it doesn't matter.